after the other, Gabe. It was like Hurricane Charlie, Hurricane. It was like 2 or 3 back to back. And in 2004, thank you. It back to back. So we walked outside. We walked outside of our home. Literally, there were trees down. I mean, huge oak trees just down in the street. Cars couldn't even get out from where we were. There were 2 massive trees. We lived in a community at the time that had like a community lake, if you will. And please, it wasn't fancy. We didn't live on the side or on the lake where we could afford those homes, but at least we got to live where we could walk by it and see it. And it was really cool. And these massive trees that just stood like right in front of this dock that they had built. We literally walked around the block to survey the area. And I was like, man, it looks so open. And then it hit me. Those 2 massive trees were gone, swallowed up somewhere in the lake. They were gone. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. But you know what was so cool? You could look down the street. You could look at both ends, and you just saw neighbors helping neighbors. And I could tell you where I lived. I knew who the libs were. I knew who the conservatives. It didn't matter. Everybody was out helping everybody, talking to everybody. That's what happens all the time in the state of Florida, and I'm sure in any one of these states where you experience these type of hurricanes. And I almost think that part of the non-reporting on this by the major news networks or the state news networks isn't just that they don't want Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to look bad, because they should. They've been an absolute disaster, but they don't want to find reasons to unite Americans. Democrats and the left, they want us to be divided, because that's the only way they win. If we're being honest, if we're being real, that's the only way that they win. Let's run through some videos. We'll run the gamut. But I want you to understand, FEMA's goal is now to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. And if it's their goal to instill equity, who would they have to take wealth from? Who would they have to take opportunity from? I think some conservatives out there, listen, I know there's a lot of people that get caught up in conspiracy theory, and sometimes conservatives don't want to be a part of that. I certainly don't. I don't like thinking the worst of people, but I know that there's good and evil that exists. And I know that people that don't fear the Lord, that don't fear God, have a propensity for evil. And I got to tell you what we've seen in politics in the last decade. I mean, you can, whether you like Trump or not, just look at the Russia collusion hoax, the Ukraine impeachment, the Jack Smith stuff. This stuff has been a completely hoax. The guy trying to get murdered. Politics has turned completely evil. And there's a reason. There's people on the left that are trying to divide us. They want to fundamentally transform America. And one of the ways to do that is, instead of uniting Americans, it's to divide Americans, so that all of these groups of people that they divide, they can say, hey, we're your champion. These people are not your friends. These people that will help you clean up after the storm. These people that'll rake the leaves with you. These people that'll, feed you food or coffee when the storms come and your refrigerator isn't working and your lights are. Those are your enemies. But the government, Uncle Sam, we're not your enemy. That's what the left wants to do. Gabe, let's just roll through some of these, and forgive me. Gabe has put a lot of video together. But I just want to do this. This is Mayorkas. This is cut number 14, Gabe. Mayorkas said that FEMA is prepared for disasters such as this. Now, let me say this. This is the worst storm. I think this will be worse than Katrina. All right. This is the worst storm that I believe we've seen that's been recorded in over 150 years. I think that's what we're witnessing. But Mayorkas was prepared. At least FEMA was somewhat prepared. Now all of a sudden, they don't have money. So again, this could be complete incompetence. But I have to sit here and wonder, with a regime that's been so evil, a regime that will side with the Ayatollahs of Iran instead of with our ally Israel, and instead of with the people of Iran, what else would they do? What else would they do? Cut number 14, please, Gabe. Mayorkas says FEMA is prepared for these type of emergencies.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well.
So the communities, to the best of their ability, were, but they're totally decimated. And you see people helping out people. But now Mayorkas says that FEMA doesn't have enough funding for the hurricane season. They need more money. And the only reason they need more money is because they've been using your taxpayer. They've been redistributing your wealth. That's what they've been doing. I hope you get this, Gabe. They've been redistributing your wealth as taxpayers. The federal government under the Biden-Harris administration, along with Alejandro Mayorkas, they've been redistributing your wealth to the people they believe deserve it. And they don't believe you deserve it. They believe that you, as an American citizen, especially if you're a white male, white female, even conservative, they're going to redistribute your wealth. One of the ways to do it is to take your money and give it to the people they believe deserve it. And those are the people that are breaking into our country right now, most of whom happen to not be white. Let's play this. This is cut number 13. Although Alejandro Mayorkas said that FEMA would be prepared for such a time as this, here's what this gentleman says in cut number 13, Gabe. FEMA can't be found anywhere.
We're not getting the amount of support that we need.
We haven't seen FEMA. We haven't seen Red Cross. We haven't seen Hearts with Hands. We've seen no agencies come through here. Most people drive through with their cameras out, filming us like we're animals in a zoo, and don't stop.
How could the government do us like this? And how could the whole country just forget about us? Like, it's not enough. What is being done is not enough. I mean, there are entire communities that have been just decimated. Where is our government? I mean, for Kamala, and I am an avid supporter for her to stand in Florida today and make a statement. Where is our government?
Sources say over 1,000 troops in North Carolina.
Go ahead and stop that one. Go ahead and cut that one, Gabe. I'm gonna just be straight with you. Look at that guy, Gabe. Let's just be real. We're both men. When you heard that guy, did you think like I thought? I thought immediately he was a gay male that was a Kamala Harris supporter. I didn't. I thought that immediately. You can call it stereotyping. You can whatever. We're men. We're just Gabe is real. I'm real. I thought that immediately. They don't know who's being impacted by this storm. They see communities that vote mostly Republican. That isn't to say that most of the community is Republican. And it shouldn't matter regardless. They're human beings. They're fellow Americans. But because the left wants to win an election, they just say, screw you. And that's what's happening there in these devastated communities. Man, this stuff makes me so mad. I don't want to play this entire clip, Gabe, but cut number 15. I just want to play about a minute. I want you guys to just take a look at some of the overview of the devastation. Now, I want you to understand this. Let me put this into perspective. Gabe, you can go ahead and start rolling it, but just keep the volume down. Let's keep the volume down on this one, Gabe. Just let them see the picture. Make sure you're subscribing to the Carl Jackson Show. Make sure you follow us all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. Make sure you check out the podcast, The Carl Jackson Show.com or at the Carl Jackson Show, wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. But this is just an overview of the decimation. I want you to understand, or I want you to try to fathom that you walk out of your house, your apartment, your condo, your townhome, wherever you may be, and everything is fine, everything is there, and everything is copacetic. You return, and there's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, and you can't even call the insurance agency because you know what? That place is wiped out too. You have no house, you have no car, you have no electricity, you have no clean water, you have no clean place to go take a crap, nothing. This is what these people are going through. And the agency that they pay their tax dollars to is more concerned about equity rather than saving American lives. This is Ashley Moody. This is cut number 12. This is our Attorney General with an appearance on Fox. Let's go ahead and roll that. She's ranting over this. And there should be outrage on this. The media wants you to believe that there's all types of big stories. Jack Smith is going after Trump again. And obviously this is an election interference thing and doing everything they can. Tim Walz had a horrible debate the other night. J.D. Vance kicked his butt. And so now they've got to come up with something else. This is the story. This is the story that people should be paying attention to, because quite frankly, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a humanitarian crisis. This is a people issue. This is a human issue. Cut number 12, please, Gabe.
Good morning, Todd. Yeah, everyone should be waking up this morning outraged by that comment. This is not something that has just happened recently, and Florida's been warning about this since this administration took over. Mayorkas has come in like a virus and infected these what need to be healthy, strong, fundamental programs to ensure the stability and safety of Americans in times of disaster. So you heard, they have taken the FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program and over time siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars into basically making it an illegal immigrant resettlement program. And so when you see these states and cities around the nation declaring emergencies, even blue states, because of what this administration has done, encouraging more and more and more, developing programs to encourage more and more and more people to come here, the government, Biden and Harris, are having to fund that on the backs of the American people. And now, right now, in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, all of these states are hurting because of this truly natural disaster, not a Biden-Harris-made disaster. They're saying we need more money. And of course they need more money because they've been laundering it from the true intended purpose of this fund that Congress set forth. Laws be damned.
There's two things going on here. We just touched upon the main thing, this horrific prioritization of migrants over American taxpayers. But there's also something else here. What does this say about the Biden-Harris administration's ability to just lead? If they underfunded FEMA this much, and we are not even close to being in the heart of hurricane season, which in reality is August, September, October, and November, A.G. Moody.
Look, this is what President Trump did so well while in office. He could get to a 30,000-foot level, look at the health of American agencies and programs, determine what the problems were, and enlist resources, talented individuals, and a strategy to put Americans and the safety and strength of this nation first. I've seen it work here in Florida with Governor DeSantis. We decide where our problems are, we set forth to fix them, and we make sure not only money, but the strategy and talented personnel are in place to fix them. So, for example, when you have a disaster like this, and when there's no electricity, instability, when there's people needing just the basics of life because of a disaster. I was with officers the other night, and we surged our resources in vulnerable areas to looting. We made sure officers knew what to look for when it was in complete darkness. Right. They knew what to charge. We make sure our state attorneys know to hold these people so they don't get back out and start ravaging these communities again. It takes proactive efforts, and you just do not see this out of this administration. And here in the roosters of coming home to roost, look at what's happening right now.
All right, the Florida model.
We're in the middle of a disaster with this administration.
Let's cut it there. But yeah, I mean, you get the picture. That's Ashley Moody. Governor DeSantis, honestly, I'm going to talk about this in a later podcast. Governor DeSantis is he's got to be ranked one of the best. And I don't say this to be kiss butt, but I think it's true. I suspect it's true. I've not researched this. Honestly, this guy's got to be one of the greatest governors of all time. Seriously. today, one of the things that happened with Governor DeSantis, the dock worker strike is over. Apparently, they've come to some type of agreement. I didn't even know, because the last time I had listened or read or seen anything on my phone, it was Governor DeSantis talking about that he was going to deploy the National Guard to work our docks so that Floridians, especially with the impact of Hurricane Helene and all that those people are suffering through that are, I'm in Central Florida, so